You comfortable in this shit?
Comfortable with what? The mask? Fuck no.
Gotta do what you gotta do. Make it happen.
Comfortable with the mask? Fuck no, man.
So this is so much
My nuts, how my nuts? Are my nuts showing in this? I don't know. How does that look? That'd be alright.
I
I like that. Have to drop it down on his ass.
Here, let me get a regular chair.
Well, promise kept, motherfuckers.
He kept his motherfucking promise.
We back, we live, we got mask on, and I'm hot.
And this ain't no robbery.
This is, in fact, another episode of the SquadKast motherfucking podcast.
I'll let you go.
What's going on, gentlemen? How we doing today?
Mashed up, man. We in here.
COVID-19 still a thing.
Still a thing.
I will maybe in some way, shape, or form might have a grasp on it, but maybe they don't at the same time. Tons of uncertainty is my point.
A lot of uncertainty.
Right. I'm back fresh off my camp trip last week, which was terrific. You guys really missed out. I tell you, you gotta get out there, get that nature, take a shitty shower, eat a bunch of hot dogs, you know?
Oh,
It's good times.
no beef hot dogs?
You know, it's whatever Bar S is selling. I'll tell you, I'm not biased. In fact, the cheaper the hot dog, the more I like it probably. So, no fancy hot dogs for me.
Okay.
But, you know, nonetheless, camping or not, the world goes on. So, and since that has happened, actually, while I was camping, Dave Chappelle released that special, which I'm not really sure if it was on Netflix or not, or...
It was YouTube.
Okay, so yeah, I saw, that's where I ended up catching it, but he released that special 8 minutes, 46 seconds.
Great.
Obviously very pertinent. And I thought we should discuss that a little bit today amongst a few other things perhaps, huh? Well, for me, I mean, I thought it was powerful, to say the least. Brother DJ, man, you had a chance to kind of discuss it for a few moments, but essentially, I mean, there are some moments where you naturally would laugh as part of any conversation, serious or not, but Dave Chappelle didn't tell any jokes.
None.
Right.
That was some of the most hardest truth-telling shit I ever seen come out of a comedian, let alone, you know, someone, an entertainer. So,
Especially of his magnitude.
And I felt like for him to be able to, they weren't jokes, he could turn some of them did come off as jokes.
mm-hmm.
And that just comedic genius in itself. Just
Right, you just can't
was
help but
enough
laugh.
for me.
The ironicness of it, huh? There's a couple of things naturally that stood out. I mean, obviously the whole thing did, but some of the lines I wanted to talk about, specifically when he talked about that cop so nonchalantly kneeling on Floyd,
Yeah.
and Floyd yelling out for his mom. And
Right.
he had only seen that one other time when his grandfather was passing away, yelling out for his grandmother.
Right.
And I just, I do think about that, you know, even now as a grown-ass man, in my scariest moments, sometimes I'm like, damn, where's my mom? I could, in the back of my head, like, you know, man, I tell you what, if I was a little kid, my mom would let this be happening to me. So it only makes sense that
Right.
when you are out of options, and that's the last thing. It was
And his mom was passed away.
Right, naturally,
so she's screaming for his dead mom.
Right,
You know?
yeah. Reminds me how fragile those, how important those relationships are, how deep those relationships are, that even in those moments you just can't escape that love and that wanting for that protection from your ultimate protector. So that definitely really stood out with me. And then he goes on to talk about, you know, basically comparing the police or law enforcement, the police state, for having such an issue with rioters and protesting and feeling so disrespected and yada yada yada, you know, and on, and that he goes to talk about Eric Donner, that LA cop who basically got ousted for trying to do the right thing as a cop, and then he snapped and went on a murder spree and killed I think a cop and a cop's daughter and shot at several other people.
Mm-hmm.
And hell, even in the midst of them looking for them, a couple of innocent people got shot up by the cops because they thought it was his truck. But Dave Chappelle mentioned how 400 cops showed up to where they eventually found Eric and killed him. And I mean, and it only made sense naturally. He was out there killing one of their own, so he would. So it only made sense that we respond, and they just don't understand why every time one of our own get killed, there's this type of reaction. Let alone anyone shows up to ask or really to hold someone accountable, because that's exactly what they did with their donors. Hold them accountable in a moment, just like the police can do.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, do you guys feel the same in that? Why? I guess I would assume you think it's rational, but I mean, it is interesting to think how the states react to people getting upset and pouring out into the streets when something bad happens, but they literally do the exact same thing.
Exact same thing.
When it's one of theirs.
It just shows the contradict. I'm probably not saying the right word. How America contradicts itself, or the U.S. contradicts itself heavily.
Right.
Along with the shit you seeing with this Black Lives Matter movement, all the fucking gimmicks and all this shit with the NBA and like where's the like motherfuckers are saying we need real action.
Right. Policy. Like I mean, we can talk about all the support we want, but I mean, if we don't actually put those changes in place, then I mean, it's all just a bunch of lip service.
But I love the show. I watched it for a second time. I don't know. I think after watching the second time, it kind of made me mad.
Why?
Because just seeing all those different, we know Eric Garner, Breonna Taylor, like the emphasis that he puts on it, and just seeing like I'm just saying like we got to continue to keep going through this.
Exactly,
like,
and that's where I kind of get upset about it, because certain part of America feels like
we should get over it.
Not necessarily that. They felt like it wasn't happening enough for us to complain about it. But then when you look at the big picture and you really see, and it still continues to happen. The guy got killed in Wendy's by the Atlanta cops. Another guy got choked out in Tulsa, died in the cops' custody. I think the same thing happened in Las Vegas. Another black man choked out. So this is after George Floyd, and Breonna Taylor, Eric Garner, and all these people that's passed away due to police brutality and negligence on their behalf. And go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you. I just wanted to.
Not to mention, and I mean not to get off topic, we got hate crimes here in Des Moines, Iowa that's been going on. With Buddy that they finally caught the two dudes that jumped on the young man on the south side, and then come to find out this ain't their first rodeo with this sort of incident.
I'm sure you gotta have priors acting like that. Are you kidding me?
Basically was talking down to some females in the elevator downtown one night, and they ended up going to court and getting off with probation. But yet they do this to young men, to this young man. But yet this is the same shit I'm talking about with, I said the U.S., but now we're going to talk about Des Moines. Because with the fucking laws and how they just get off with this fucking, this is what I'm talking about with that fucking, that discrimination shit, that racism. Because like that would have been us and we jumped on a white boy, we'd been thrown underneath the jail. We wouldn't have got off on no fucking probation.
I mean, and obviously, respectfully so, there should be punishments for doing these things, but this...
Bro, that's anytime you using racial slurs, that shit should be automatic hate crime. And then the hate crimes here they don't really penalize you or really harm you.
There's different levels to this shit, right? How can you have, I mean, a hate crime is a hate crime, right? Like, no, I'm not.
Here, you get a slap on the wrist. Oh, here you go. It's not
where his own father had to take the regular non-hate
They with this shit. They just want to act like they not.
Right, yeah.
But hold on, I didn't get my Dave Chappelle spill.
Please, brother.
But I love the Dave Chappelle. I love every minute of it because, as me and Brother Sheffen was discussing earlier, I thought it was great how he used his platform to deliver a message. In entertainer of his magnitude, who has the capability of touching so many people, millions upon millions upon millions of people who actually admire this man, love his work and everything, so he knows that people are going to tune in to him. Every special he does, he knows people are watching him just to see what he's going to say. And I commend him for using his platform to speak about the injustice that African Americans, black people, brown and blacks have gone throughout this country. And, you know, it was very powerful. And at times, I felt like I was getting upset.
He actually went after Don Lemon because Don Lemon brought his name up talking about why all these celebs saying something and doing something. And he
was like, what are you talking about? Every show that I do, I say something.
That's what his whole career's about.
Right.
The Dave Chappelle show alone, that's enough said. 2 seasons of the most brilliant social commentary on racism in America. Are you kidding me?
So I love Dave Chappelle's his special, and I want to say thank you, brother, and everybody who was a part of that. I appreciate y'all to make that happen. It needed to, and I would appreciate to see more celebrities or entertainers or whoever of his stature to also use their platforms outside of social media to speak out.
Right. He also talked about Laura Ingraham and Candace Owen, these conservative types. Candace Owen is like, I mean, she might as well still have the guy. She might as well have a she's the best Uncle Tom ever. Compared to Sammy and
she ain't nowhere.
She was
real life.
She was nowhere near like Steven, my boy. She was nothing like him.
Real life.
I don't know.
She ain't nowhere near with us, bro.
Her and other people like her with this fucked up argument about whatever past Floyd had is worthy or justification for his life being taken. As though, I mean, you can't do that. We don't do that. We don't walk around and say, well, you've done some bad things, so if you die, that's fine. In fact, if someone kills you unjustly, that's double fine.
But what did I say? I said this a long time ago. Every time something like this happens, they never portray the brother or the sister as just a hard-working citizen. Mm-hmm. They always have to dig up the dirt, whether he's on probation for this or that, or like they always have to bring up the negativity in the person's life, the persons that just lost their life, to try to paint them as this hardcore criminal,
right? You
know, or this person that just couldn't get their life together, knowing damn well that's not even the case, and that's white media, man.
Right. And on top of that, he ends with stating that, that, you know, he exists in the last bastion of free speech, that being the stage of comedy. And I think it was a real ominous warning that he was saying, you know, he was doubling down. As we mentioned, some things were funny, but he wasn't telling jokes. Mm-hmm. So he was letting, like, listen, I'm king joke maker, and I can't even come to the stage right now and write a joke, and I'm letting you know I might not actually be able to return to write a joke because of how serious everything's getting. We have an interesting opportunity in or worse the future ahead where, you know, American society, let alone society as a whole, has to make this decision about, are we going to go full-blown, you know, our side is better than your side, and finding some sort of middle ground where everybody can coexist, and it's a winner takes all, which essentially leads to whoever's got the biggest guns and the most money. We'll probably end up on that losing side, or do we really fight for, or we really have to fight for the change we want to see, just expecting it to come sitting on the wayside. And, you know, whether that's voting, whether that's protesting in hell, whether that's rioting, if that's the only thing you got left is to throw a fucking rock or something. I mean, you have to do something, or that's just, you know, like we like to do more often than not, is have these conversations, and hopefully whoever's listening is, you know, thinking about this information or trying to expand on it themselves and grow and understand that just that you have to be the change you want to see.
I think that the change that we want, the real change that we want, the work, the necessary work that we have to put into that, nobody really wants to do that. And I'm not going to say what that is on camera, but y'all get what I'm saying. So outside of that, all we can depend on is hopefully making change with them policies and implementing new policies and changing laws and stuff like that, which actually some of that has occurred. Like some of these states are outlawing certain things with the police and changing laws and stuff like that. So there has been some progression, but it shouldn't have taken for so many
all these murders,
for, you know, and on video, by the way.
Yeah,
all of these are actually something. Most of them, if not all of them, have been caught on video.
And that's why I say, why is it now all of a sudden that y'all want to say that enough is enough?
Mm-hmm.
You want to know why? Because now you have white America talking about it. You have.
I still ask the same
That's what I'm saying. Now you got
conversation.
the Tom Brady's talking about it, and all these other prominent Caucasian talking about
for
this
years,
shit.
the loudest voices naturally has been Black America. And when they did manage to get to those major platforms, it was always presented in a minimum a hostile manner, if not as some sort of militant. Mm-hmm. Therefore, it helps scare the average consumer into thinking like, well, maybe that's not the best route, or that conversation's null and void because this guy's scary, whatever, or maybe even extremely says something like, you know, white people seem to do this, or this is wrong with white people do, and they just don't want to handle those truths. But now you have a ton of white people admitting, showing, confirming, doubling down. You know, everyone's got their own motives, but still, that information is just being more and more brought up to the surface. So maybe there's some hope there in the future, and at least we're having the conversation.
Yeah, we're having the conversations. I've seen videos where younger children are trying to educate their parents on, you know, their thought process and beliefs when it comes to dealing with people of color and things of that nature. So I mean, it's sickening to hear them talk about why they justified the hatred, but at least the conversation is being had.
Right.
So, you know, we gotta start somewhere, right?
So yeah, in short, Dave Chappelle, you know, a genius of our time, and hopefully,
Most definitely.
encouraging some people to keep fighting a good fight.
Yeah.
So, well, beyond that, let's switch topics here. But we were just talking about restoring felon rights and
the other good thing, the voting rights. I definitely love that change, but ultimately, I don't want to be the
Debbie Downer,
negative Nancy, as they say, or whatever the fuck. But the whole law that was passed, a couple of them that was in place, like the whole.
Come on, brother, professionalism.
So when the cop, I guess, is fired for, you know, bad behavior or whatnot, he can still get a job in the next state over. It's not like he's permanently barred from being a cop.
Right.
And the whole.
Well, that's different than what I was talking about with.
Oh, the chokehold. My bad.
Well, no, I was talking about restoring felon voting rights.
You're right. I said I love that. That was great.
But
then he started going into the stuff that he didn't.
Right.
Right.
I said.
I see. Okay, so I get you. So you definitely support that policy, but
I'm going through the whole bill.
Got you. Right. Do you think because she also did push about letting go of officers who have bad records and not hiring officers that have bad records, but like you were saying.
Correct. They can still go the next border state over, and
So they trying to make that a federal thing.
You know what I'm saying?
To make that implement that nationwide in the U.S.
Now I wonder who's going to actually decide what a problematic officer is. What record is a bad enough record? Is it just if you've ever been fired, or if you broke a rule in one state that doesn't apply in another state? Does that So
I would have to say, I mean, if they would to implement something like that, I would say it would have to be a certain number of complaints filed against that cop and what was the complaints.
Right.
Which would determine if they would be deemed hireable or rehirable.
Right. Let's think. If you work at a retail store and you steal $100 out of the register and they fire your ass for that, justifiably so, you are not rehirable.
Exactly.
Generally speaking, right?
Exactly. You have a theft.
Do you just
on your
go to the
record.
next retailer and then they look at you and be like, well, you know, we only deal with peanuts here. We don't even have cash. So maybe are like, nah, you might steal $100 worth of peanuts. You know what I mean? I don't. So I do wonder, should it be a blanket statement, or is it, you know, if you just get fired, no cop can ever be a cop again, no matter the circumstance. At least that's where I would land on it. Just because, you know, cops can murder people. So out of that sheer responsibility, and especially with the way we like to hold police officers. Well, let me clarify. American society likes to uphold police officers and their nobility and respectability and all that type of jazz.
That's because as kids, we've been taught to respect the cops,
Right.
and they're the good guys and all this
Right.
other stuff. Yeah, that's true to a certain set of people.
Right, exactly. So when they turn out to not be those people, I mean, the consequences should be unrecoverable. You could never carry a badge and a gun again. Like, you are definitely not the imperfect human being we like to pretend cops are for whatever reasons, you know. Or imperfect, imperfect human beings who, for whatever reason, we just don't hold accountable for their mistakes. So I would say that. I mean, that's why I support defunding police as a whole. No, I don't mean totally getting rid of police officers, but these cops run around with military gear and tanks and tear gas and just beating the shit out of everyone.
Yeah.
Because essentially their commanding officers tell them to go ahead and do so. Not because the cops legitimately have a beef with rioters. Like, there's not a conflict, there shouldn't be anyways, between police officers and what the communities want from lawmakers.
I'm gonna be honest.
It just shouldn't. Those things should be mutual. A cop should be able to see a community in distress and want the same changes that community.
Outside of the protests, I really have not seen the need for cops to have riot gear and all that. Here, I have never seen, heard about a conflict that happened here so out of control to where Des Moines police had to get riot gear and fucking tear gas and just go straight nuclear to resolve an issue.
Other than when the people feel
I've never heard that. And the only time that's happened until start protesting, now all of a sudden they got the shields and the tear gas and all this other shit. Like, nah.
So why they have it in the first?
Just to use that shit on them, guys.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, y'all don't need that shit.
You never even heard of like cops going at it with gang members like that. I mean, even a shootout with the gang members, usually a small, you know, skirmish at best. However that ends is another story, but there's never no, oh my God, there's 14 gangsters, they're spread throughout the community, let's get the tanks out, we need to get geared up and go in, and that just is never a thing. They treat the communities they serve like they're in some sort of terrorist, you know, hostile zone or something.
Bro, I lived down the street one time. No, I won't say down the street, but it was somewhere down the street from my house where it was like a little hostage situation going on, right? Buddy was in the crib, gun, the police had the shit blocked off. Yeah, you need riot gear for that. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I can see that. You know what I'm saying? But every cop shouldn't have access to that. It should be a specialized, trained, tactical unit to be able to have that access to that equipment to resolve the issue. That's just my spiel on that type of shit.
And in most cases, cops should just stand aside. In most cases, at best, maybe protect some property, but if people want to approach government facilities and buildings and encroach on policymakers and lawmakers' space in those places, then that's between them. I would suggest those lawmakers should probably be listening to their people if they don't want thousands and thousands and thousands of them turning up on them for not helping them legitimately. And actually, I point to Camden, New Jersey, of all places.
Oh my God.
Where they actually they disbanded their entire police force.
Oh yeah, they did. I saw that. Yeah. And it's a black man that's the head of it.
They rehired the police chief and they reapproached how they police the community, how they were allocating resources, and their
They
crime
actually
rates
got
like
these
the lowest
brothers,
has been in 50 years.
They got them walking in the community,
Yeah.
talking to the people, talking to the neighbors, and all that other stuff. I saw what was that on? I saw exactly what you was talking about.
Probably like a Now This.
It was something, I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I saw that.
I mean,
Look
that's
it up.
just facts.
Just facts. It
That's
really
one
is.
place, one media source that reported on something that really happened out there. So it's possible.
It is.
And there's
But
other-
Camden
and that
isn't
happened-
huge neither, though. I mean, Camden
happened-
isn't like a huge city,
Sure,
though.
you're right.
So
Absolutely.
we have
Camden,
to
Jersey
make
is
that
a small
clear.
city, absolutely. Because right across, I mean, they're right across is an even bigger city. Right
Yeah.
across the river from them or whatever is an even larger city in New Jersey. So, but that happened here in Iowa some years ago. Some local sheriffs and local politicians were corrupt as fuck, and it ended up turning into where the lower deputies wanted to either quit in or arrest their sheriff or local politicians because of some laws that were being broken. There ended up being some people getting fired, but the town ended up rallying behind those cops. They got rid of the politician, the city council person, they got rid of the police chief, and those deputies got reinstated and are now, policing in good faith, Now that's small town white America, so, there's definitely some different policing issues there compared to inner city America. So, but still a perfect example, these things can happen. Change can happen.
It can. Got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
We keep saying it. Got to start somewhere.
So, and I look forward to a day where I see an officer and I actually think he's there to help me. He's not there after the fact. He's not there to depress me or see me of any type of suspicious light.
Brother,
So,
I can't think of a situation outside of murder where I would call the police. I really believe in I'll take care of my own dirty laundry.
man,
They're not gonna help me. They ain't gonna help me. I can't think of a situation where they can help me. You know what I'm saying? My car gets stolen. Oh well, hey man, sorry man. It's by the nearest chop shop by now. You know what I mean? They can't help me.
Let me tell you why I don't call the cops anymore. Because one day, when I used to live on the east side, I come home and there's this suspicious white dude sitting in this little beat up bucket blocking my driveway halfway nonetheless. So I had to tell him to move, and he was looking at me goofy. That already had me like, well, what's up with this cat? There's only two white people on the street. I know this. One's my neighbor, one's the lady across the street. Everybody like, I don't know who this guy is. This guy definitely standing out over here. So, but he's just standing out. He's in his car for hours in front of my house. And I'm like, man, I don't like this. I can't even go to sleep. I can't chill on my deck. I don't know who this guy is. So I said, fuck it, I'm gonna call the police, see if they come by. There's a suspicious white guy. He's just sitting out in front of my house. I don't know what he's doing. I'm like, okay, we'll send somebody through. As soon as I get off the phone, this motherfucker gets out of his car, walks 2 houses down and goes into a house. I can't even think, like, how are you, like, hours this dude was sitting out. What the hell? That's the house. I didn't understand. So here comes the police shortly after, though, and I'm on the deck, and I try to flag them down to like, hey, this is the car, and our guy went into the house down the way. The cop's like, all right, and as he slowly starts going down the street, he clicks on his little light and shines it even further down the street, hits the Jerry's, hits the gas, pulls up. There's like 3 or 4 brothers sitting outside just kicking and smoking, having a good old time. Bruh, they accosted all fucking 4 of them and arrested all 4 of their asses.
Cause of you.
Oh, cause you called the police.
Bruh.
Oh,
Bruh.
brother.
I'm just down here like, that's not even who I called the police on. Like, you gonna go to the house? You gonna?
Exactly.
I said, God damn, I can't call the police no more.
You called the cops and got the brothers
Man,
arrested.
right. They was just hanging like I seen them all the time. That's the block I was on. And I called someone I knew who wasn't from that neighborhood. I had never seen in the 5 years I had lived there.
Brother,
Knew my neighbors.
I am disgusted.
I'm shocked.
See?
And I'm shocked and appalled.
And appalled. You telling me?
I cannot
You telling
believe,
me?
brother.
I wanted to go down there so bad and be like, nah, this ain't them. This ain't the people, but who I'm gonna look them in the eyes like, yeah, I'm the guy who called the police on y'all. My bad. My bad. Let me see if I can talk to him real quick.
This motherfucker, man. Oh my gosh, brother. This is why you don't call the police, man. What you should have did is just walked up to Buddy politely.
Get your ass.
Excuse me, sir. get the fuck from out of my driveway.
I don't approach strange white men like that. I don't do that. I'm gonna go over there and see what this guy's doing. Nah.
Well, if he's blocking your way to get into your
I had to tell, I was in my car because I pulled up on him, like, yo, can you move your car? You're blocking my, he's like, it's right. Literally just, and then he pulls down a little bit, I pull in, and you know, I'm in my driveway some distance. It's not like it's, you know, we're 10 feet away. I mean, I'm going, so.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't own the street or nothing, so me approaching him in that fashion.
But if he's parked halfway in your driveway after you got in there.
No, he wasn't though. He moved out of the way like I asked him to. So he was legal.
He's all right then. He's okay.
He was just suspicious. A suspicious white man. Okay, that's what I was trying to get to the bottom of, and ended up getting some of my own people in.
You a piece of shit. You
no, I ain't gonna say that now.
Damn,
I didn't. If I did it on purpose,
come
now.
on,
No,
man.
no.
I can't believe you did that. Nah, man. Like, no. Only time I called the cops. The only time I ever called the cops, bro, here.
And mind you, this is like 10, 15 years ago.
In that type of time frame was when my car got broke into, and they busted out my window and stole my TV out my Cutlass I had. And I don't even know why I called them. I don't even know why, because I knew they couldn't do nothing for me.
No, they was finna crack the case.
Yeah, I don't even know why I called them. It was just, call the cops. They dust my shit for prints. They, you know, and made it look like they was doing this shit.
Yeah.
Like, nothing came out of that. I got my window fixed. I put something else in there, and my life went on. You know what I'm saying? But I just made sure that shit didn't happen again. But that's the only time I called them in the last 10, 15 years. In my adulthood, as a kid, something different. But as adulthood, I ain't never fucking called the police up that one time.
Unless you think a life is in danger, like, man, don't do that. Don't do that. So, in fact, the time I called, before that was, I was walking down this alley to my dad's apartment, which was creepy to do that on the east side, just middle of the night. But
moral of the story is, we ain't calling them no more. We can't trust you motherfuckers. We can't trust y'all gonna do y'all job. What the purpose of the fucking phone call is for. My man called because suspicious white man was in his driveway, and y'all go ahead and arrest four brothers.
Unsuspicious
brothers who just mind their business.
I knew what they was doing. I knew what they were doing. I was fine with that. And in reality, you should be able to approach that type of scenario. When the cops pull up, take the shit from them, and no actual complaint.
But I want to make a point about that. Those type of cops are the ones who actually go into the community, know the people in the community, build relationships with them to where they're like, all right, you might even call them by their name. Like, Brian, come on, man, just give me the shit, man. Just go home, tell your mom I said it, you know, shit like that. Like,
you're lucky it's me.
Exactly. You know, seriously, like, for real. But now, no, everybody want to get their citations up and build a reputation for, I got 15 arrests this month and, all this other bullshit. Man, come on, man.
Either y'all ever had the cops called on you?
Yeah.
See, that happened one time too.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was someone we went to Roosevelt with. The cop who showed up, so it totally worked out for me. He told the other people to leave.
Cops got caught on me, and it was just nothing came of it. It was just like, well, they said you were doing this, and obviously I can see that none of that is going on here. And, so I'm sorry, man.
Get out of here.
Yeah, that's it.
I arrest everybody for trespassing.
But it's just kind of crazy, man.
The moral of the story is, if you call them cops, boy, you better be right. You better be right.
Well, it's just like what happened with the guy down south who called the police because his neighbor's door was open. And then the cop goes in,
shot her through the window,
killed the black lady through her window as she was playing video games with, I think, her son or nephew or cousin or something like that. And the black guy, which was the neighbor that called the police, he thought that he was looking out for his neighbor because he said that she never left the door open like that or something. And he was worried. and then that happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, you did something even good-hearted, goodwill intended, turned out bad because these
Man,
motherfuckers
the cops just, they're
are so poorly trained that their first instinct is to grab their gun and just to shoot.
Start blasting.
That's their way of de-escalating situations.
They get scared, they get to shoot, man.
You know, that's why, like, I wholeheartedly believe in defunding the police, providing policy, giving them retraining,
getting resources into the
you know what I'm
communities
saying?
that
Exactly.
resolve these problems that create this
Exactly.
type of stuff in the first place.
So I mean,
all right. Well, in short, SquadKast has just solved the problem, guys.
yeah, we did.
Defund the police.
Yeah.
Help out poor people.
Yep.
Stop being assholes to society.
There you go.
Boom. I want to
There
put
you
that
have
on a t-shirt too, I think.
Thumbs
SquadKast
up.
policy. That's
Yep,
the policy
there you
that
go.
we implemented. So.
There you go. But it was a
All right,
discussion
well,
that needed to be had.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Well, that being said, I think that's about enough for today's
Yeah, I
episode.
think so, too. I think
it
it was
does
a good
feel
one.
good to be back into this space, this
Yeah.
smash shit. We do this for you.
For you.
We do this for you.
All 50-some subscribers, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We
Right.
appreciate every one of y'all who tuned into us while we was going live.
Right.
And you guys, we appreciate your comments.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck the one motherfucker that try to get our shit taken down, whoever you are.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We had our shit uploaded.
Guess who's back?
And,
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we back.
So
Yeah,
good.
yeah, all
And
that.
you know, your app's kind of broke in that it'll just let you upload it again.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So fuck
Check
you.
that.
Yeah, we back.
All right. Well, also shout out to Junkyard Gang. We're still
Yeah,
doing
Junkyard
that,
Gang.
so that'll still be presented in that format.
Yeah.
But we're look forward to us being back in person going forward. So
Hopefully, Battle of the Week can
Mm-hmm.
continue. It's been so much going on in the community. It's so much that needs to be talked about, and I definitely want to, you know, hopefully we can get that going on. Bill got to take baby steps, got to crawl before you walk. You know what I'm saying? We
Right.
back in the studio. He's a man of his word this time around. You know what I'm saying? He kept that promise. We made sure that we got proper attire to make this happen. So we appreciate. We do this for
doused
y'all.
ourselves in bleachers too.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
So-
yeah. And I took a bath in comment. too.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go. Per Trump's advice. So, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is another episode of SquadKast podcast.
Yeah.
Everybody be safe out there.
Be safe.
Deuces.
Yep.